Hey, welcome back. We got a little cool project going on right here. As you can see in the intro, we have an original ITR header that I had for my poor man's Type R from way back. I'm gonna show you the engine that I still have. Check that out. The poor man's Type R. Painted, no flaking. It's lasted over 13 years. But we ain't here about that. We're here for, I'm gonna show you guys real quick, Cerakoting. If you guys don't know anything about this, you can Google it. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it is like one of the best coatings if you want something that's very, very durable, solvent resistant, gas resistant, and all that. In fact, hold on, let me set this camera down real quick. So yeah, like I said earlier, we are gonna be using the Cerakote C series, which is air dried. You gotta sit it for a week or so. There's the other series where you gotta, the only way it cures is you put it in the oven and let it bake. Eventually I'm going to get into that again when I get my hands on another oven. But in the meantime, we will be using C series for most of our stuff now. A lot of people use this for automotive because it is durable, looks good, doesn't scratch as easy, and it really, really bites into metal substrates if it's been prepped and done right. So this one is C-7700 Glacier Silver, one of our favorite colors. And there's the other favorite color that I really like is the bronze. It looks like a burnt bronze, like a penny kind of. It's pretty cool, pretty dope looking. But in this series, we're gonna be coating a customer's ITR header. So when I had sold these ITR header to the customer, he actually had cleaned it up really good. I'm assuming he took a wire wheel to it and maybe Scotch-Brite and cleaned the heck out of it out. Because before, this was all discolored and rusted looking, you know, just from all the heat and moisture and all that. But he did a good job cleaning. But for Cerakote, we have to sandblast it. We have to give it that mechanical bond, that mechanical bite. This stuff needs it. If you don't do that right, it's not going to stick on there right. We will be using 100 grit aluminum oxide to be blasting so we can get ourselves a good etching in here. And yeah, let's get the etching. We're gonna throw it on over there. So before we place the header into the sandblast cabinet, we already went ahead and then we cleaned it with some really strong solvent. We got some acetone from Home Depot. We got a gallon of that. We just drenched it and wiped it down really good. Make sure there's no grease or contamination on there, because the last thing we want to do is sandblast something that had grease on it, and it will get all over our expensive abrasive that we're using to sandblast it. Because the last thing you want to do, it can contaminate it, and any other future jobs that I do, it can embed it as we blast the next project with some grease or whatever stuff we don't want on the next project, because that can compromise the Cerakote or any coating from sticking. Grease, silicone, that's all bad. So we're gonna get at that right now. We got that all cleaned in acetone. Alright, there we go. Now that we got it all sandblasted, you can see the difference. In fact, I will probably show a comparison of the before and after photo. So there's a term for this. It's called the frosty look. You know, after it's been blasted, it looks all nice and deglossed. It's very frosty, just like if you go out on a cold day in the morning and go look at your car and it's got like a frosty icing right over the windshield. It just gives that little flat look. That's what this is. It etched it. This is the profile that we want for the ceramic coat to bite into, for it to actually really work as it's supposed to. You're supposed to prep it like this. But enough of that. We are gonna get prepping, blowing the heck out of this. Gonna clean it with acetone, and then we are gonna get to spraying. We got it set down on a nice brand new sheet of paper so there's no contamination that could cross over to here. But yeah, it's looking really good. You can see the whole etching on that. It's just flat looking. That's what you want. That nice profile for it to bite into. But I already said that earlier. We're gonna blow this whole thing with compressed air to get any kind of sand out of all the crevices, because the last thing you wanna do is paint right over all that and it's gonna look really noticeable. It's gonna look ugly. And I don't want it to look like that, you know. Customer wouldn't be happy with me, I don't think. Then after that, we are gonna give it a quick, thorough acetone bath to make sure we clean anything is in case we might have missed some grease somewhere. Then get the spraying right now. Let's get the time lapse, right? So now that we got that all cleaned with acetone, blew it off really good, we're letting it marinate right under the IR heat lamp just to make sure in little areas where, say, since we soaked it in acetone, there'd be some spots behind it. Just making sure all the solvent gets evaporated and dried before we do our next process. Right now we got it held on by 0.35 welding wire from my MIG machine over there. It ain't going nowhere. The back, we're not gonna coat it because it's gonna be a gasket there anyways. It's mainly, my main focus is all this and everything else. This side doesn't matter, that's gonna be bolted up against the head. But next step, we're coming through right now. So yep, while we're sitting there letting that marinate under the heat for a little bit, 10-20 minutes, we already went ahead and shook this up for about 20 minutes on the shaker. So now that we're just sitting there waiting for that to heat up and just kind of marinate over there, let's go pick out a gun. So on the instructions, they prefer to use, I think it was like 0.8 millimeters, but I don't have any of that. I've always sprayed it with 1.0, and I usually do it with this old school Iwata, which gets really nice. It's really old. This is like a 0.1, I believe. Or I can go with this other SATA that I have. This is a 1.2, which is a little bit too big, but I sprayed this with Cerakote in the past. It worked perfectly fine. Oh damn, looks like I got ketone dripping everywhere. But today, I'm choosing this gun right here. Gonna be using the MiniJet 3000B HVLP by SATA 1.0. I know they recommend using a 0.7 or 0.8, but this always worked for me, so we're gonna go with this. Yeah, since we are already waiting, and when I start spraying, I can't talk because I have the respirator on. So what I usually do, and I think it's the best way of doing it, a lot of people do the same way, I'll take my fan pattern and narrow it down. And once it's narrowed, I will go to all the difficult to reach areas and we will blow all those in first. Once all the little difficult to reach areas is all blown in, then we will open up the pattern and then I will wet it out. So how you spray this, you want to follow a wet edge. Keep a wet edge all the way down. I do about 1.5 coats. And it's you want to get a good amount of mils on here to make sure it actually works the way it's supposed to. But it's actually not too bad to do because it's not like automotive painting where you got to keep it looking good and shiny. This one you just got to keep a wet edge, follow all the way through. Make sure everything is even and consistent because you want everything to be the same amount of mils as everywhere else. But enough of that, we are going to get the mixing. But enough of that. We are gonna get ready for painting right now. So this stuff, you don't have to mix it up with no part. It's just ready to spray. But just gotta make sure you agitate and shake the hell out of this, because that stuff settles down really, really quick. Like I said, I already shook it for 20 minutes on a shaker. I'm gonna use one of these liner cups. Even though it has a strainer already in there built in, we are gonna strain it anyway, so it doesn't hurt to strain it a lot more times. All right. I'm gonna hit that light real quick. Stuff stinks. Like I said, you definitely want to use respirators and a ventilation system. Don't just spray it in there. This stuff is really bad. You can smell it. But yep, just ready to spray after you shaking it. Strain it. I think we should be good to go. And if you have any leftovers, since it's not a 2-part mix or anything, you can just pour it right back in here so it doesn't go to waste, which is pretty cool. Because it would suck to spend all this money and you mix a little too much and then you can't put it back in there because you just wasted it. I think we are ready to go now. Let's get at that. We are finally done spraying, and you guys probably can't hear me. I'm gonna turn it off. I forgot to turn the ventilation fan off for the paint booth and all that. A lot better. Still got the intake running. Hold on. Turn that all off. That one takes a minute to wind down, so it's gonna be running for a bit, maybe for another minute. But I just want to say, man, it actually came out good. I'm gonna turn the camera around so you guys can see it, right? Hold on. So yeah, it came out great. It looks pretty good. I never done stock header. I've always been done aftermarket stuff, but it looked good. So these ITR header, customer's gonna be happy. You can see this plate that I had welded on there way back in the days to keep it from crushing the tubes and scraping up and gouging it. Man, it looks good. It ain't gonna be dry. You gotta sit and cure in ambient temperature for about like 5 days, 10 days, if I remember right. But I always tell the customers, after 5 days, I would let it sit still just to be on the safe side. Came out pretty damn good, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm ready to end it. Spend time with the family. Man, it looks good. We are gonna end this video, and I just wanna say I appreciate you guys for watching. Please subscribe, share, get some friends to like and share, help the algorithm keep it going. That's about it. Thanks for staying tuned. All right.